What's up, everybody? Are you struggling to figure out which weapon to use, when to use it, and which is the best and the worst weapon inside of Moco? Well, this video is for you. Let's dive into the first weapon here. I do not currently have it. It's the only weapon I do not have, and that is the Buzzkill, so I cannot rank it, so we're going to put it in the do not have section. The next weapon up on this list is going to be the Portable Portal. The strengths of the Portable Portal are leveling up gadgets. It really doesn't have very many strengths. It is the absolute trash, worst weapon inside of Moco. The weaknesses of this weapon are it has no damage, no utility, and no value. Next up, we have the C tier. Monster Slugger is going to be our first weapon in the C tier. It's got some strengths. The strengths are it slows enemies with its combo attack. It's great for large hordes of enemies, taking them down, and you can use it in the dojo, taking hard hits to slow down those hard-hitting knights to be able to avoid the attacks and letting your minions that are with you take them down. The weaknesses of the Monster Slugger are it's really bad in single target fights. It excels in AoE fights, but single target fights it doesn't do really anything. The other weakness of the Monster Slugger is it just does not do enough AoE damage. Next up in the C tier, we have the Medicine Ball. There are some strengths to the Medicine Ball, and it does have some really good AoE healing in one with damage. It's very important that it does some damage, and it does AoE heal. It can be used in the dojo helping hands. There's also another weapon that can be used in that dojo as well. We're going to get to that in just a second. The weaknesses of the Medicine Ball are it does not heal range DPS when you are in rifts. When this range DPS bows shooting from the back line and you're kind of in the melee hitting it, sometimes it might not get them as they are kind of scattered around. But the Medicine Ball is solid. It's just not really that amazing because there is another healing item on this list. Next up, we have the Toothpick and Shield. The strengths of the Toothpick and Shield are it is a tank item. It's kind of one of the only items inside of Moco that is strictly a tank item, but there is another item that might be better for tanking, and it's a little bit higher in the tier list. That's why this is so low. It can soak up a lot of damage, so that's really nice, but it has some glaring weaknesses. It just does not do enough damage. Spinsicle does way more damage than the Toothpick and Shield, so you're kind of in an awkward spot of do you really want this Toothpick and Shield? Yes, it's tanky, yes, you can take hits, but it's just not enough value. It also does not do enough damage to play as a tank, and also there's not enough damage currently where we are at in the game to justify putting this on, playing with a tank, and getting value. However, it does do very, very good in PvP, so that is another big strength for this weapon. Next up in the C tier, we have the Wolf Stick. A lot of people have ranked the Wolf Stick super high, but it's not great. I don't know what everybody was talking about. The Wolf Stick has some strengths. It's good in PvP on the 1 versus 1. It's fun to play with pets. I get it, but it just does not do enough damage. Everybody is saying, oh, it does a lot of damage, this, that, and the other thing. It does not. It is not a weapon that you're going to want to take into rifts, into this, into that to do a ton of damage. It's going to be a good supportish item, you know, because you got some pets that can tank if you need that, but it's just not really that strong. Weaknesses of the Wolf Stick are single target pets where your tank dies. You know, your tank is your pet, and if that falls, it's not going to be useful because the boss is coming at you and it's not going to be fun for you. It also has very small AoE damage. Pretty much the only AoE damage is when the pet goes up and down and smashes. Unfortunately, the Wolf Stick just kind of sticks into the C tier. The next weapon in the C tier here is the CPU Bomb. I love the CPU Bomb. It is so strong in huge AoE fights, but it just doesn't lack that firepower that we have in the A, the S tiers, so we can't really put it there. It has massive AoE damage. It clears out everything if there are hundreds of units. However, if there's only 1 or 2, it doesn't do much. Used in the dojo crowd control. However, it is very good in crowd control, especially when you have the explosion. With that, you get the passive. With this, you blow them all up at once, and it does a lot. It does stun when that big AoE explodes on the combo, so it is really strong there. But other than that, there's really no other real strong uses inside of the game where it's very, very strong. Weaknesses of the CPU bomb are single target fights. Next up, we have the A tier. The first weapon in the A tier is the Staff of Good Vibes. The Staff of Good Vibes has some strengths. It has large AoE healing. It can heal without damage, which is super important, especially for PvP. Use it in PvP 10 versus 10. You might also use it in PvP 4 versus 4. It is so good because you don't need to damage your opponent to heal, which is very, very nice. It's the only healing item that you don't need to really hit enemies in order to heal. So you can sit in the back, heal up your tanks, heal up everything, and you will get massive value by healing everything up on your entire team. The weaknesses, though, it does have some weaknesses. It is very little damage if the healing range allies. If you're healing range allies, you're not hitting enemies, you're not doing any damage, but you know, it's a trade-off. You're a true healer. This is a true healer item, and it's a decent healer item at that. There's not many uses in the game right now outside of PvP, maybe in high up rifts, in nightmare rifts, but right now we are sitting in a spot where without PvP, this weapon would be mediocre, but there is PvP, and this weapon is solid. The next weapon in the A tier is going to be Squid Blades. I wanted to put this in the S tier so bad. It is such a strong, good item, but it has some flaws. You can skip trash, mobs and rifts to get to the boss immediately. That's great, but once you get to Nightmare, it struggles if you have 4 of these people with these squid daggers. You are going to be in a sticky situation there, but it is still very, very strong as an item. Also, you can find enemies on maps that you need. So any map that you're looking for, either a ladybug or you know, a treasure chest or whatever you want, you can get this with this item. Is you can just run around undetected and get what you need on the maps to be able to clear out your missions. Another strength, it's being invisible. Really cool that it is an invisibility. It's a really cool thing inside of the game. I like it a lot, but sometimes being invisible doesn't really help you. You can use it to cheese some fights, but you know, other than that, The weaknesses of this item are it has no AoE damage and vulnerable to damage when not invisible. So when you're not invisible, you are very vulnerable, as it is like a rogue-like item inside of the game. It's super solid. I wanted to put it in the S, but it just wasn't there. Next up, we're gonna have the S tier, the first item inside of the S tier. Here's the weapon, it's Techno Fist. The strengths of the Techno Fist are, it has ranged AoE damage, it has long-range multi-hit attack, it can AoE stun on its ability, which is absolutely massive inside of the game. You do not know how strong and how massive that is. It clears small monsters chaining off of the boss. So pretty much you attack the boss, it bounces, it clears off the other monsters, whether that be in a rift, whether that be in a map. It is super strong, super nice. It has so many uses. This is one of the best items in the game. It's not the best item because it doesn't do anything super amazing well unless there's really two items, and let's get into that right now, or should I say two enemies. You can use it in rifts, you can use it in grinding, you can use it in PvP. However, one of the best uses are double dragon. The reason why is because you want to keep them stunned as much as possible as you are running away from the dragons. The best way to do that is the combo attack. It continues to stun them as you can back away, and that's the secret cheat code to beat the double dragon. The weaknesses of the Techno Fist are single bosses only. So if there's literally one single target, you are not going to get much value. If there's two or more, that's where Techno Fist are really going to strike. Next up in the S tier, the second best weapon inside of Moco is going to be the sickle. The strength of the sickle is it has strong AoE damage. It has one of the best AoE damages inside of the game, especially if you are up close and personal and can take the hits. The reason why the CPU bomb is nice is because it's ranged. Sickle, however, is melee. You can take down guards as well. Guards are one of the most annoying monsters inside of Moco, but as you're spinning around, you avoid the guard shield and you are able to do damage to them. It also has 20% avoidance to damage, so you can pretty much avoid 20% of the attacks, which means it's almost like a tank item. I use it as a tank item instead of the toothpick and the shield. The only reason I use the toothpick and the shield is PvP tanking. Other than that, the sickle, which is super solid, is an amazing item inside of rifts. It's an amazing item inside of grinding, even inside of some dojos. dojos. The main use in the dojo are helping hands, which is super nice because you put a healing build, you heal, 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 heal. It's very, very nice. And then you can do target priority. Massive dojo use here for the Spinsicle. The only downside to the Spinsicle is its weakness, is it's not the best for single target damage. Other than that, it's a super strong item. Next up, we have the best weapon inside of Moco, and that is going to be Speed Shot. The strength of Speed Shot is, it is a single target monster. It absolutely does the most single target damage in the game. It is massive. You can do it from a long range. It takes down everything that is a single target. It is amazing for rifts. You want to use it in rifts. You can even use it in PvP, 10v10, maybe even 4v4 as the range damage dealer. You can use it farming bosses. It is just massive. You can also use it in the dojo one-on-one, which is the last dojo that you need to clear inside of the game, and it is absolutely insane. Versus the Berserker, you just need to move, shake, bake, run it through, and you will pick up victories there. It is just such a strong weapon. The weaknesses of the Speed Shot are it lacks heavy AoE. So it really doesn't do many damage to multiple targets. It really only damages one. So when there's multiple enemies, like 3-4 enemies, it really does struggle as it doesn't do as much damage as, let's just say, Techno Fist, but it is still super strong.